Dengar-dengar suara dentuman-dentuman itu tuh kita nggak tahu itu tuh apa gitu sebenarnya.
Saya sudah mencoba 4 kali percobaan kabur dan yang keempat kali baru bisa lolos.
It begins with a hope of work abroad, but ends in enslavement for transnational organized criminals.
Dan ternyata benar gitu kan, posisi di sana sedang tidak baik-baik saja, lagi ada perperangan gitu kan, yang udah mulai mendekat dan udah mulai masuk gitu kan.
In the midst of armed conflict on the Myanmar-Thailand border, more than 120,000 people from around the world are trapped and forced to work in online scam centers.
Asumsi kita apa? Kita mengikuti perusahaan Cina yang sifatnya itu mafia. Otomatis dengan seperti itu, kita harus siap pasang badan sampai mati. Ketika kita nggak berhasil, kita didor jalan.
We met Indonesian victims who managed to escape from a criminal city on the Myanmar border. We snuck into the city and the criminals' digital networks, tracking their coordinates and charting the actors behind them. This investigation led us to a giant criminal network spread throughout the world.
Ya, ini dengan saya posisi saya bisa keluar, bisa dilihat belakang saya ini Hotel Asia Pasifik, tempat kita bekerja. Di situ ada kasino, ada tempat PSK segala macam di situ, di atas ada tempat buat nginep kayak gitu-gitu, masak dan lain sebagainya. Kita di lantai 2 itu untuk mengerjakan scamnya. Untuk tim kita bisa keluar karena mesnya itu ada perjalanan seperti ini kondisinya, seperti itu penjagaannya. Di depan di belakang ini ada pos security. Kebetulan ini di tengah ya kotanya, di kota yang ramainya. Ini sekitar 15 menit jalan kaki dari sini, itulah di Meyawahabi namanya, yang informasinya beberapa waktu lalu yang ada penyiksaan, ada penjualan organ tubuh. Itu dekat dari sini.
This documentary is a collaborative journalism project spanning 4 countries. We also worked with cybercrime and cybersecurity experts to obtain geofencing data and the coordinates of the recruiters. Puin Hotel, Mesot, Thailand. Here, 5 Indonesian human trafficking victims arrived after successfully escaping when fighting broke out between the armed resistance and military junta. Located not far from the border, this hotel is used as a transit point for victims of cyber slavery from around the world. It was at this hotel that Utok, not his real name, first set foot in Mesot before being smuggled to Srekoko, Myanmar.
Pertama datang dulu seingatku dari arah sana. Nah, nggak tahu kenapa pas datang kembali pas hari Jumat, malam Jumat itu, hari Jumat malam Jumat, datangnya dari arah yang berlawanan, dari arah sana. Itu pun banyak pembelokan, Pak. Ya, penangkapanku dibelokin kayak gitu mungkin ya, itu untuk menghilangkan jejak. Pertama kali datang itu nyampe di sini sekitar jam 3 subuh. Dan kabar dikasih taunya itu nggak usah check in karena cuma menunggu sekitar 2 jam udah dijemput. Nggak taunya sampai jam 9 pagi baru dijemput. Iya. Itu kami stay-nya mobil stay nunggu di situ. Iya. Di lapangan ini. Lebih persisnya mobilnya di situ.
Memang perjalanan itu berawal dari aspal biasa. Kalau di Indonesia itu semacam jalan tol pantura itu loh. Jadi kita nggak mengkhawatirkan itu kalau itu akan dibawa ke sana karena jalannya memang semacam jalan tol. Di kanan kiri dari jalan tol itu ada perumahan warga. Itu nggak menyadari apa-apa karena memang saya pikir ini Thailand seperti ini mungkin kan gitu dengan kondisi tempat kerja yang mungkin jauh gitu loh. Sadarnya itu hanya sekitar ketika kita menyeberangi sungai itu kenapa harus seperti ini gitu loh. Jalannya seperti ini.
Besides being a route for human trafficking and illegal crossings, the Moy River also serves as a channel for other illicit activities such as smuggling goods. Ironically, these activities take place not far from the Border Immigration Office. These cars are commonly used to smuggle victims from hotel via the river on the border. The Chinese people sitting by the window were waiting for their ride. Unknowingly, we found ourselves in a taxi actually used for smuggling people to Myanmar, and we snapped a photo of the driver. In line with numerous victims' testimonies, women are also exploited by the criminals behind this transnational crime.
Itu pekerjaan itu udah nggak, menurut saya pribadi nggak benar lah. Jadi kita dipekerjakan sebagai scammer, kemudian di dalam itu kita disuruh untuk membujuk seseorang, lebih-lebih kan laki-laki ya, kita sebagai dibikin karakter sebagai perempuan dengan aplikasi WhatsApp seperti itu, kemudian mencari korban dari pasar Italia atau Rusia atau mana itu, mereka taunya kita sebagai perempuan. Bahkan di sana juga ada model real, model perempuan. Kalau misalkan dari customer itu ingin video call atau sekedar voice note, itu memang ada modelnya.
Fearing for their safety during the war, 5 Indonesian victims decided to escape from Sri Koko. Their desperation brought them to Yatai International Holding Group, which allegedly holds full authority over all illicit businesses in Sri Koko.
Karena kita berhadapan dengan mafia ya, yang mereka yang mempunyai perusahaan itu kan mafia gitu kan, setahu saya gitu kan. Terus dengan kejadiannya kita berada di kota yang mereka miliki gitu kan. Jadi pun situasi di Myanmarnya sendiri kan sedang perang gitu kan. Jadi itu antara pilihannya antara mau stay di situ atau nggak tahu ke depannya kayak gimana, atau memilih keluar tapi memiliki keuntungannya kayak bisa lepas dari pekerjaan itu gitu kan. Bisa pun harapannya pasti pengennya selamat gitu. Jadi pasti hal-hal yang kayak menakutkan seperti itu tuh pasti ada gitu, walaupun gitu tidur segala macem gitu kan, pasti keingetan kayak ini situasinya aman gak sih gitu kan. Mereka harus merasa kita baik-baik saja, tapi aku nggak merasa baik-baik saja gitu, kayak di posisi bukan masalah visa lagi gitu kan, ini masalahnya udah masalah perperangan, udah semakin mendekat. Jadi itu antara ya dibilang antara hidup dan mati mungkin ya, karena nggak tahu gitu kan ke depannya bakalan seperti apa. Dan perusahaan pun kayak tidak memikirkan keselamatan karyawannya kayak gimana, mereka malah menyuruh kita untuk bekerja seperti biasa gitu.
This is just one success story of escape from the scam centers amid a deadlock of rescue operations. A year after their return to Indonesia, another 15 victims from the same company have been freed. War is once again raging in the Mewati border town, Myanmar.
Kondisi dunia kian diwarnai berbagai dinamika, mulai dari bencana alam, konflik bersenjata, hingga perkembangan modus kejahatan transnasional yang semakin canggih. Sejak 2021, tercatat 3.428 kasus WNI terjerat online scam yang mayoritas masih terpusat di kawasan Asia Tenggara.
Via the scam website address used by the company to force 5 Indonesian victims into criminal work, we traced interconnected networks. Hundreds of these links are fraudulent sites disguised as crypto investment. Like this one, this, and this. These fraud websites use the same web design. Through these addresses, we discovered links to Indonesian gambling sites, such as kawantogel.co and pengepultogel.com. Kawantogel's customer service admitted that the site's server is based in Thailand. This confession directed us to further investigation. Pretending to be job applicants stuck in Bangkok, we infiltrated several Telegram groups that recruit victims into forced labor. We sent several recruiters links containing fake maps, trapping them and pinpointing the exact coordinates where they operate.
Where are you now, bro? I fear the map is in the... Are you in the...
Most of them used VPNs and IP addresses that led to Myanmar, Thailand, China, or other locations. However, quite a few fell for the trap. We successfully obtained accurate coordinates pointing to the hiding places of the recruiters. They were identified to be in Cambodia precisely at this point, and in Myanmar at this point. These coordinates are the infamous cyber scam compound and transnational crime hub in Southeast Asia, KK Park. It's like an open prison for anyone trapped there. Every corner of this complex is protected by armed guards. From this data, we also learned that the internet service providers used by the recruiters originate from Thailand. This finding aligns with the results of the geofencing operation conducted by ATII, which exposed internet traffic along the banks of the Moy River. This map shows the points of internet service providers used by the criminals. Most of them are from Thailand. Within this network range, there are scattered complexes at the center of online fraud and cybercrime at the border. Apart from the Shwe Koko and KK Park, there are other complexes, such as Gate 25, Family Park, Singhua, Wanya, KK2 or Dongfeng, and the Dongmei Group Complex. We came closer to KK Park to verify these findings. Right across from KK Park, there are several transceiver stations positioned closer to this nefarious complex than to Thailand. Within this complex, victims are tortured, electrocuted, and even killed if they fail to meet targets or violate the criminals' rules. This complex is strongly suspected to be linked to a mafia or transnational crime group with a network spanning across the globe. We also infiltrated the criminal city of Shwe Koko, where 5 Indonesian victims were forced into criminal activities. From the Asia Pacific Hotel, the office of the 5 Indonesian victims, these videos were recorded and uploaded to TikTok. Through dozens of computers, these online romance scams rely solely on the Telegram app and fake crypto charts. As dusk fell over Shwekoko, the sparkle of neon lights and extravagant lamps transformed the pulse of the city. Border Guard Forces, or BGF, is suspected of providing security for all illicit businesses along the Myanmar-Thailand border. The military junta collaborates with BGF, securing trade routes at the border, while also undermining the Karen independence movement that emerged after World War II. As the junta's right hand, BGF directly fights the Karen National Liberation Movement and other resistance groups. At a secret location along the border, we met the deputy commander of the Lion Battalion Special Forces who was involved in the attack on Shwekoko when the 5 Indonesian victims were trying to escape. We also managed to interview a former captain of Border Guard Forces who allegedly backed illicit businesses in Myawaddy. We asked where all the money from these crimes ends up. It is strongly suspected that millions of dollars from illicit businesses along the border are flowing into the pockets of military junta. BGF, through Colonel Sochitu, acts as the intermediary. Meanwhile, most of the developers responsible for cyber slavery are affiliated with these two figures, Shi Zhijiang and Wan Guokui. Both have tried to present their criminal empire as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative project. Property development and grandiose mega projects are commonly used to trick investors and other stakeholders. They also exploit armed conflicts and vulnerabilities along the border to relocate gambling businesses from the Philippines and Cambodia. Through manipulation, Shi Zhijiang successfully deceived the governments of Myanmar and China, presenting the Shweikoko Smart City as part of the Belt and Road Initiative projects. Using the same methods, Wan Guokui used foundations and shell companies to manipulate various networks of businessmen and politicians across Asia. Wan Guokui, also known as Broken Tooth, is an infamous Triad 14 mafia boss from Macau. His extensive international crime portfolio spans drug and weapon trafficking, money laundering, and human trafficking. After being released from prison in Macau, he rebranded himself as a flamboyant, patriotic businessman, created his own beer brand, and associating himself with the Communist Party of China. Shi Zhijiang, Wan Guokui, and Sochitu appear on sanction lists of British Parliament and US Department of Treasury. Before the military coup in August 2020, the Myanmar government, under Aung San Suu Kyi, was investigating irregularities in development along Myanmar's borders. She subsequently reminded all business entities there to comply with the law and regulations. But less than a year after the investigation began, the Myanmar military forcibly seized power, killing many civilians in a wave of brutal violence. After the military junta seized power, Shweikoko rapidly developed into a hub for various illicit businesses and a haven for transnational crime. Meanwhile, Wan Guokui's network continued to expand its criminal empire along the border through the Tongmei Zone, also known as Sai Sigang Park, which is not far from KK Park. The Tongmei Zone project was established to accommodate the relocation of casino and gambling businesses from Cambodia, which were forced out due to law enforcement efforts by China and Cambodia. The Tongmei Group was founded by Broken Tooth, along with Malaysian businessmen and politicians associated with a former deputy minister of Malaysia. According to a Tongmei Group proposal we obtained, Wan Guokui serves as a chairman of the board of directors under the shareholders list. Of the two Malaysian businessmen in the Tongmei Group proposal, Datuk Abdul Shakur bin Abu Bakar is listed as honorary chairman of the board, and Datuk Sri Leong Kee Huat as one of the co-founders. The project aims to create the safest office in the world, with its main businesses including property management, exclusive casino licenses, and exclusive operation management in the industrial park. Our investigation led us to this photo. Datuk Abdul Shakur is seated next to Broken Tooth and his wife, Mashita Ibrahim, former deputy minister in the Prime Minister Department of Malaysia during Najib Razak's administration. Behind them are armed forces from BGF. The Tongmei Group Sai Sigang Park was inaugurated in a luxurious event at JW Marriott Hotel Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, on March 15, 2020. The launch was attended by many prominent figures from Malaysia. Mashitah Ibrahim was seen at the Myanmar border during the groundbreaking ceremony of Sai Sikang Park project, along with her husband and Wan Kok Koi. The Instagram stories of Abdul Shakur and Mashitah Ibrahim's son, Muhammad Wafi, provided additional clues about this family's connection to cryptocurrency businesses and Myanmar tycoons. Muhammad Wafi attended the launch event of the Meta XDAO cryptocurrency on February 27, 2022. An early investor in Meta XDAO was Datuk Sri Leong Kee Hua, the same figure behind Tongmei Group. Wafi and Datuk Sri Leong met in a room at the JW Marriott Hotel along with other elites. In Wafi's Instagram story highlights titled Barakallah, he admitted to meeting Myanmar tycoons in the border town of Myawaddy. Wafi deleted all traces of his story on Instagram when we confirmed his connection with Myanmar businessmen. And we asked about his business relationships with them after the Myanmar military coup.
Kalian merasa tinggi, biar ku merendah. Kalian merasa hebat, biar ku yang lemah. Merasa paling terbaik, tapi cara kalian licik. Maka kita kaget skill otodidak, bikin diri pandai. Jangan senang dulu, semua tinggal tunggu waktu. Ada yang manis, tapi itu bukan susu. Anak baru haus bulian, datang seolah dia jagoan. Maaf Jodang, sorry Jodang, ampun Bang Jago.
Online fraud or any kind of cybercrime is increasingly becoming a global threat. This report is compiled through the investigation and verification of thousands of open source data so that anyone can implement the same verification methods. You can contribute to the efforts to eradicate modern cyber slavery by sharing any information such as official documents, photos, videos, or direct testimonies related to cyber slavery in Asia by sending them to endmodernslaverynow@proton.me. We guarantee that your identity will remain confidential and that the data you provide will be secure.
Anda berdiri